I never make any mistakes. Yeah, right. We all make mistakes. Sometimes we don't realize we've made mistakes when we have. That said, when we make them and know we've done so, we should correct them in as much as we're able to do so. Hello, I'm Kurt, and welcome to the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Today is Friday the 12th of February 2021, and I'm glad to have you along this morning. Obviously, we're coming up on the weekend pretty good. Hope you're having a good day so far. Subject of today's little talk is going to be correct the record. And basically, the idea of what I'm saying is simple. Look, we all make mistakes. We all do. But the thing is, making mistakes, having it said that we all make mistakes is not some excuse for us to continue to make them or to not correct them. Further, I believe that there are a lot of people out there who are not making mistakes. They're just saying things that are either dishonest or ill-informed. And they're doing it somewhat on purpose. And they're using that as a way to get a narrative set in a particular direction that they want. And here's the thing. When people show them, no, what you're saying is incorrect. It's not right. What you've got out there is improper. They do one of a couple of things. They either quietly correct little pieces of what they've said to make it look like they weren't as egregious in what they did and said as what they were. Or they don't correct it at all. They just leave it as it is and expect you to figure it out for yourself, and then complain when you figure it out for yourself, right? There are people out there who say, well, so-and-so is wrong and such is incorrect or whatever. But if you look at what those people are saying, and this is particularly true for people on the right, you will find that lots of times they've done much more research and they're much more considered in their perspectives and approaches than the people that are saying those things about them. And then again, you'll find that there are people in other areas, primarily the mainstream media and social media, and particularly the overlords of social media, if you will, and those individuals who are saying things, who are intending to spout a party line, if you will, those individuals will say things that they either know are wrong or have good reason to believe are wrong, or at least don't know are right, and in many instances are in situations where they, quote, jumped the gun and they were actually looking at something before it was reasonable to do so and actually pronounce judgment on various aspects and facets of whatever it is that's going on. And here, like I say, here's the thing. It's bad enough that lots of people are never even going to see a correction if you put one out there. It's worse yet if you take something that was messed up and quote, fix it without ever telling anybody that you've done it, so that it takes going back and going over what somebody says now, however they've corrected whatever it is that they're looking at, as opposed to what they said initially, in order to find out that what they said initially wasn't true. And look, I make mistakes. I've already, stated that that's the fact. You know that that's true. Come on, you know that that's true. Who doesn't make mistakes now and then? And maybe sometimes more than now and then. Maybe more commonly than we'd like to believe or admit. But the thing is, if you don't hear me periodically correct myself on the fact that I made mistakes on something, you want to know what the major reason for that is? It's because most of my mistakes are internal. Now that's bad in a way, right? Because it means that what I do is tainted or colored by some of my bad judgments or beliefs. And I have to acknowledge that. And I apologize for that. And I'll work to make it so that that's less and less true as time goes on, so that I'm more and more correct in what I believe. But the point is, as a rule, I'm not going to put something out there that said somebody did this, said this, didn't do that, didn't say that. That this thing happened, that thing happened, that this thing didn't happen, that thing didn't happen, if I don't know what I'm talking about. And usually what that means is people look at what I say as being late, as taking time. I take Dan Bongino's approach on this. I'd much rather wait to see what's actually coming out of something than assume that I know from the outset, like a lot of people seem to be willing to do. You want to talk about doing something that's going to cause a lot of damage just for you alone, much less for others if they happen to be paying attention to you? How about you spout off about something you don't know anything about? But again, sometimes, even with the care that I take, I have to issue corrections, retractions, whatever you want to say. And I'm not saying I'm an expert at that, but I will tell you that when I find that things that I say are wrong, I issue corrections. And sometimes people won't want to hear those corrections. Let me give you an example. The fellow who did the whole I can't breathe thing and ended up dying, yeah, the cop did something that he shouldn't have done, but you realize that the thing that he did was actually protocol for not just his department, but for law enforcement by and large. Now, does that make it correct? I'm not saying that it does. But the point is, it's a whole lot harder to assess blame against an individual who's following policies that are expected by his police departments or other agencies. When they're doing that, it's a whole lot harder to hold them responsible. Of course, there's always the argument that says that you are responsible for your own actions, and that's true. But the point is, the correction in this case is that the guy did something that he wasn't supposed to have done and that was totally heinous and completely incorrect. That's just not true. Does that mean no action should be taken? No, I'm not really saying that. Where should the action be taken? Well, that may be a different thing based on what we now know, right? But the point of all of this is that I had to correct my previous stance on that, okay? And that's not a common thing for me because most of the time my statement about things like that doesn't come when they happen. I wait and listen and try to pay attention and try to hear and see what people are saying at various points along the way. And it's not until after something has really hit the public that I tend to have, take the time to really review it, kind of dig into it and see what I think is going on. I've noticed that this is not something the mainstream media does. They want to do this breaking news thing, and I get that. But the answer to doing breaking news, in my opinion, is you say, this is what it appears like at this moment, but there will be more to talk about as time goes on. And even if you say, this is how something is, which I'm not suggesting, I don't suggest you do that. I'm suggesting you say, this is how things appear at this moment in time, not this is how things are. But if you happen to say, this is how things are, and you find out later on there that's not how things are, if you want people to take you seriously when it comes to your reporting and your understanding of things, you'd best be willing to correct the record. And you'd best be willing to do so in such a way that it's actually going to be seen by others when you do so. The reality is this. It's not a great idea to do breaking news. I don't tend to do that, right? People who know me know that I would really rather talk about things that are timeless anyway, that I'd rather talk about concepts and ideas and not individuals, that I'd rather not point fingers or anything like that. There are times that I'll do it anyway, right? But I don't like to. It's not what I want to do. I really want to talk about something that happened 10, 100, 15, 20 years ago. Okay, that's what I really want to talk about because those things are maybe not perfectly settled, but there's a pretty good chance that a lot of people have some idea what actually happened in a given situation or scenario, right? A thing that happened today, not so much. That's not how that's going to work out. But again, let's say that you put stuff out there and you actually categorically state, this is what's going on. And this is what happened or what's happening, okay? When you find out you're wrong, do what the title of this little piece says and correct the record. It's not just something you can do that's a nicety. It is your responsibility when you report things for public consumption. I'm not saying that there's somebody going to come after you if you don't do what I tell you to, not trying to indicate that, not trying to say that. What I'm trying to say is, if you're going to put something out there, and particularly if you're going to make solid assertions, when you find out you're wrong, which you almost invariably will do at some point or another, correct the record. Okay, I need to wrap up this video for the day, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Again, I'm your host, I'm Kurt, and this is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thank you for coming along and listening to the entire thing. Again, I welcome everybody who visits me on Rumble, the podcast, or YouTube. Thank you for doing that. Those of you on Rumble, I really appreciate because you really help me to get my stuff out there. It is again Friday, the 12th of February of 2021. That means tomorrow will be Saturday, the 13th of February of 2021. I should be able to do another daily summation tomorrow, but that's just how we'll see how things work out. We're still having some interesting weather situations here. Imagine you might be where you are as well, seeing as that seems to be a fairly widespread thing. Again, thank you for coming aboard, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Friday, the 12th of February, 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, or maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.